evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emmanuel Rose.
Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI. Today, we're going to dig into the processes and tactics and tools for social media domination. So, Wendy Pace, welcome to the show, and love to hear a little bit more about your background.
Thanks for having me. So, native New Yorker, now living in Georgia. We won't get into that. And with a degree in marketing, communications, been in business 9 years as of July 5th of this month. So happy me. Started off in corporate marketing and then started my company when it was required for me to be home as a caretaker for my youngest child as my oldest was leaving for college. And
Nice.
So Pace Setting Media got launched and here I am.
All right. Well, 9 years has given you a pretty good view of how social's changed over that time. What have you seen that are some of the things that have changed and some of the things that are the same?
So for me I came in in 2015 and Facebook and business was just starting to meld, right? Businesses were just starting to use Facebook and utilizing the platform, and people were going from just showing their cheesecake from lunch and their dogs and babies and going, I think I can use this for business.
Right.
So I absolutely came in at the right moment. But as I watched it progress, I was watching my feed change. As I gained new clients, my feed was getting tweaked, and things that I was seeing before I was not seeing now. And I was like, what's going on here? And then, of course, we all started learning about algorithms
Right.
and seeing how things were getting tweaked and what our view of the online world was being based on our actions, right?
Sure.
So I loved it because every time I got a new client, I got to mess with Facebook's algorithms and Google's algorithms because now my searching was changing as I was getting information and content for each client.
Sure.
And so that has been probably in one case as a marketer, you're like, yes, I'm getting the audience that I want because they're figuring out who I need. I don't have to think about this and figure it out for myself. But on the other hand, it starts to skew and narrow your world.
Right.
So if you're not aware of it, and most people, for the most part, in the beginning of the whole algorithm changes, were not aware. And they were like, why don't I see this anymore? Or why don't I see that anymore? And I'm trying to explain that to a customer and a client. And then we started, the tech started listening to us, right? We started having Google in our house and
Right.
Alexa, and they were like, I was just talking to somebody and this ad popped up just then. I was like, yes, because they're listening to you. So on the one hand, it has increased the ability of marketers to pinpoint their audience more exactly.
Absolutely.
And you're not just throwing things at the wall. But on the other hand, your view of the world gets smaller and smaller and smaller because you're not searching and coming on to new things. And they don't really put new things in front of you. They're not going, well, here are those actions. Maybe you'd be interested in this. They keep you in very narrow lanes. So there's that.
Yeah, that's interesting. So in the work that you do, are you focused mostly in content marketing or pay-per-click marketing, or where do you fall in that?
We are doing content marketing. So we are
Cool.
writing your blogs, we're creating your newsletters, we're creating content, and we're curating content. So I'm not just making it, but I'm out there looking for relevant content to share for my clients.
And what's the ratio that you use for created versus curated?
to be honest, it totally depends on what's going on in the world, because there are
Yeah.
times, like for certain clients, there's a lot of news happening. And so you're going to just curate that content and utilize that. And then
Right.
there are moments where it's more quiet and you got to create content and be more creative and think outside the box. But you also have to look at what are people searching on, right? What's trending right now? And how do you make that relevant for the client that you're working for?
Yeah. That's interesting. So you're very dynamic with how the outside world is producing news, and then whether you have to make it or curate it. I like that.
Yes.
Uh, what kind of tools are you using right now to develop content for your clients that are either new or integrate AI into them?
So we've utilized Chat GPT and some other programs out there when we are saying the same thing over and over again. It's nice to have a machine to say, okay, just rewrite this for me.
Yeah, spin
Because
it.
when you're talking about certain things, like, so for instance, a lot of my clients are service industry clients. I have, pest control businesses. I have lawyers that deal with restaurants. I have um, roofers.
Yeah.
And when you've had a client for a very long time, for instance, my pest control. So how many different ways can I talk about rats or rodents or termites, right?
Right. Yeah.
I need a different perspective. I've only got so many words. So
Yeah.
I will take something that I have written, I will put it into Chat. I go, rewrite this for me from this perspective.
Yeah.
And it'll give it to me. I then take that, what it's written, I go through it, because Chat doesn't always get grammar right. Chat
Yeah.
doesn't always spell right. And it doesn't always utilize information correctly. And people are always astounded to learn, yes, Chat GPT will pull things out of its butt
Oh
and
yeah.
just make stuff up based on what it's curated, right?
Yeah. Right.
So you do have to double check and come up behind it and go, no, that's not right. That's incorrect. To make sure that the content you're putting out is correct. So the human element is still there, but getting that different perspective or that different voice on things I find it very helpful. And so does
Interesting.
my team.
Yeah. No, that's great. And then have you developed like a kind of a series of prompts for that, or do you just kind of take it one at a time?
No,
Okay.
we have some prompts, and now we're telling it to think, right? Now we're asking it to not only be a marketing expert on this field, and this is the audience that you want to use. I'm telling it, okay, think about this audience member and how it would be best to utilize you, Chat, as a responsive for this question.
All right.
And so it does make it generate and making it get information in a different manner.
Interesting. And then when you're curating content, is that something that you're doing by hand, or do you have a service that helps you with that?
No, I do it by hand. And the reason I do that is because there's a problem with getting blogs that look like articles that aren't necessarily articles. When you get to the very bottom of it, it is the competitor that we don't want to be promoting.
Yeah.
So I make my team look and read through everything before they post it, because you can get tripped up. And it's getting harder and harder to recognize a true blog versus a fake marketing article.
Yeah. In that way, we've kind of papered over the internet, haven't we?
We have. Yes.
Well, that's interesting. So, in the content marketing, what are you seeing in terms of video and where your clients are receptive or not receptive to video, especially in the service industry, right? The services.
Yeah. Do I want to put my photographer up on a roof? No, not particularly.
Right.
But he'd probably go just so he can say he was on a roof. But anyway, yes, video is becoming more and more key to getting marketing that is actually going to get somebody to stop. People don't want to read. So we have, not that we steer away from blogs. I still push writing blogs for my clients, only because algorithms, right? We go back to the algorithms in Google and the Google gods and what they expect and want from your website, right, to provide information as well as your SEO. But video really is your selling moment, right? When you can get somebody to stop in their feed, stop scrolling, and listen to your 10-second, 7 minute, 7 minutes. You're not going to get anybody to stop for 7 minutes.
No.
But get them to stop and listen for that brief moment in time. You've got that opportunity to hook them. And so video is becoming more and more increasingly important. And the fact that you can now create your avatar and have AI take your script and create a video, there's really very little reason not to utilize video in some form.
Yeah. And then is there a tool that you're using to do some of that work?
I still use a videographer. I haven't really I've put like my toe in the water of the AI creation because I'm still feeling it out. I'm still trying to, and I'm also trying to look for a program that's actually going to do exactly what I want it to do.
Of course.
Because there is a learning curve on this, and you can put in a million prompts, and I don't always have the time to be like, okay, that prompt didn't work. Let's try this. Nope, that didn't work. And let's try, and you got to keep
100%.
tweaking it.
Yep.
So yeah.
There's also I'm a philosopher and a conversation person, and I don't want to have to think like the computer thinks, right? And so sometimes that's my roadblock to prompt writing, right? Is like, give me something good the first 2 times, or I'll just go do it myself. And
exactly.
I can crank it out way faster, right?
Right, exactly. I'd rather have a picture go in and out, and make you think it's movement and put, a voiceover on it than to go, hey, AI, I need you to create an avatar, and I want them to have blue eyes, and I want them to have black curly hair, and I want it to be in this angle or this type of camera and this type of light. No, I ain't got time for that.
Right. No, exactly. Well, I do have some questions just about kind of what you're using for content calendars these days, and like how you're breaking out what types of content that you're posting throughout like a 30-day period.
So we go week to week because a lot of my clients drop content to us. Right. So I don't usually schedule out 30 days. I use Social Pilot as my scheduling program. I like their reporting. I like the way they analyze the data and bring it in from all the different platforms that we're on. So I do a week at a time. Wow. I don't do 30 days out. And I have a team of 4. So, and I have about 30 clients that are broken up between the 4 of us.
Yeah.
And we have, a meeting and we discuss what the client is asking for. But a lot of times I will not do a 30-day out because things happen, and I don't want my people just kind of phoning it in. Right. I don't want them to be like, well, it's done, I don't have to think about it. No, I want you to watch the news. And maybe it's just me because it's my company and my clients, and I'm just like constantly in it. But, like Beryl coming into Houston, I have a client in Texas that does insurance. What are they called? Claims negotiators. So I'm like, oh, I got to stay on top of that. I got to put out news reports. I got to, follow if there's flooding, because putting their name in that community is going to help get them business. So if I already have the feed full, a second, third post is not going to garner them any more attention than if I'm on top of it from the beginning.
No, that makes sense. And it's almost like you've combined like traditional PR with social media is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And that comes from the background, because we won't say how old I am, but my marketing degree was way before social media existed. Yeah. So yes, it's more of a PR base.
Yeah. Which is, it's an interesting USP, and it's an angle I hadn't thought of before. So that's that super timely and hand curated support of content is pretty amazing, pretty neat service to provide for your clients.
Well, because the reason Google is out there is they want content that is relevant and current, right?
Right.
You get penalized if you're putting content up that's, more than 2 years old and blah, blah, blah. So my whole approach to this is that I'm making my clients the answer to the question, their potential client is searching on. So
Right.
if their client is going in and doing a Google search on a certain question, I want to make sure that we already have the answer up for that question. And though that gets us indexed by Google. That is the whole purpose of social media marketing, is to make sure you're getting indexed as many times as possible by Google so that you come up higher in search.
Yeah, and then that those social posts are reflecting back to your blog, and that there's some kind of top of the funnel activity that can happen from there.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, well, that's an interesting take on it. So where do you see social and blog and video going in the next 12 months?
I see blogs actually becoming scripts more for the video content that's going to be created, because we still want to see thought leadership, right? We still want to see expertise in anybody's particular field. So the video is now becoming the point in which you're getting your information out there and you're showing your expertise.
Right.
Facebook is still the warm fuzzy. LinkedIn is where you show your expertise, and all the others are just more funnels to getting people to click to your site.
Yeah.
They're your teasers. YouTube, you have your long form. Instagram, you have your short form. But video at the end of the day is the key to all of that, right? For any business wanting to show their expertise, you're going to have to put your face on the screen.
Yeah.
We're more isolated than ever before, yet we're more connected than ever before. And this kind of back and forth is the new one-to-one in person.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Are you finding, like, out of your client base, like what percentage of them are willing, the CEO or founder is willing to be on video for you?
Well, they're more like, can't you just talk to my customers? Can I just get
Right.
testimonials? I don't really want to be on camera.
Right.
And sometimes, but it's funny, the more they get comfortable, the more like, yeah, I'm gonna, okay.
Yeah,
So
it feels
now,
good. Yeah.
Yeah. When they get the feedback and they see the clicks, and I'm like, do you see how much more engagement you got because you were in the video as opposed to just the testimonial?
Right.
So it's a fine balance. That testimonial gets you out in front of that customer's network, right? So they know they used your services. But when I put you out there, then you got a much bigger network, and not just your customers, but your friends are now sharing you as well.
Yeah.
And they don't think about sharing you on a regular basis.
Right. Yeah. Some blog post is not going to do it like a video, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm curious about your experience so far with podcast guesting and what you found for yourself and for your agency by being a guest. How long have you been guesting?
I've been guesting since the beginning of the year. So I've done probably about 16, 17, maybe even 20 podcasts now. I find now, in the first time I did this, I was like,
yeah,
because
it's a learning curve also. Yeah,
right. It is. I like creating the podcast. Like, I've always encouraged my clients, you should do a podcast, or, especially my authors. I'm like, don't just put your book out there, have that conversation on a regular basis.
For sure.
And I'm working with an author right now out of New Jersey that I'm like, dude, we need to do a podcast.
Yeah. Well, you can put him in touch with me, and I'll recommend that he does it. I'll be your backup on that.
Okay, absolutely. I feel that and there's so many different audiences, right? There are those who want to listen to podcasts. There are those who want to watch YouTube videos. There are those who just want to, scroll through TikTok and see little snippets. So there's so many different segments of audience now that I feel like you leave money on the table if you're not doing some kind of whether you're guesting on podcasts or you're creating a podcast. The message, you're losing a whole section of audience if you're not doing it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think in some ways you're living in the past also, right? You haven't accepted that this is this ability to time shift and consume content anytime we want. it's like it doesn't exist if you're not participating in it.
Exactly.
And yeah, I agree with you that especially in anybody who's written books or has that subject matter expertise that's very deep like that should at the very least be guesting, and building that thought leadership. Plus, to be able to pass a 25-minute video to you every week as the support for that is gold, right?
Right, because not only am I putting it out on your social media, I'm probably putting some money behind it. We're boosting it out, so the podcast, host wins and you win because you've expanded your platform and you've gotten an opportunity to show what you know.
Yeah, wow, that's good. I love it. Well, any last bits of advice or thinking about what's coming up in the next few months for marketing?
I think that if you think at this point that you can just hand your marketing over to AI and it's going to be handled is a mistake, is a misnomer. AI is still in its infancy. Where it's going to be 5-10 years from now, God only knows. I mean, we may not even, nobody was going to age. You might not even know that the person you're talking to, that's not their face, right? Lord knows where it's going to be. I think actors should be really nervous because I can't wait to see what they do with acting and movies and storytelling. Right. When AI gets even better, when you can just drop your script in and it creates your characters, I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it. As a matter of fact, I've got my script waiting. I know what I want to do. I've got my show. I've got the first 2 episodes written. I'm just waiting for the technology to get to the point where I feel it's ready for what I want to see. So I think sky's the limit when it comes to AI. We do have to be mindful and careful because there is a darker flip side of that, and people showing up saying things that they didn't say because they've taken their face and they've created something that wasn't theirs. So it'll be interesting to see what comes in the future.
I'm with you. I think it will be interesting also. And we're lucky as marketers to live in this time where we have so many tools and so much ability to reach out and find people now. And
yes.
Way different than when you and I started in marketing, for sure. Well, Wendy, how do people get in touch with you if they want to talk about social media marketing?
They can reach out to me through LinkedIn, or they can email me directly at wendy@pacesettingmedia.com, or go to pacesettingmedia.com and leave a message on our general email.
All right. Well, that's good stuff. I appreciate your time this morning. I love the conversation, and I look forward to seeing what you get into in the coming years.
Yeah, when I get that show going on YouTube, you'll be the first to know.
All right. Well, that sounds awesome. Thanks again for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.